Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wire to Wire Sports. This is the morning show. I'm your host for the next couple of days. My name is William D. Morgan, and I have my partner in crime with me here, my man Mo. Mo, what's going on with you this morning? How are you?
Hey, what's good, Will? Good
How
morning,
you doing,
everybody.
man?
Appreciate you guys. I'm good, man.
All right, all right, all right. Oh man, it's been a fantastic weekend. Um, I got some stuff I got to get off my chest today. I gotta grill Paul George. Um, I, I'm just sick of him. Um, he just grinds my gears. I gotta get on Joel Embiid. I gotta do that. Um, Ben Simmons, a Clipper, that dysfunctional big three. We're gonna talk about that. But the first thing we got to talk about is my backdrop behind me. The Eagles get a big Super Bowl win against the Chiefs, 40-22. Don't look at the 22 points because that game that happened in the fourth when it didn't matter. Um, Mo, what do you think went wrong for the Chiefs in this game?
I just think they ran into a buzzsaw. We talked about leading into the game. Could the Chiefs' offensive line hold up against the Eagles' defensive line? I didn't think they could. It's why I picked the score that I picked. I thought this was going to be one of those rare Super Bowls where the better team just out and out won. It wasn't close, and they were dominant. Look, Patrick Mahomes was under duress the entire game, and they had him rattled. He had two picks. He probably should have had three or four.
Yep,
They just didn't hold
great.
on to him. So he didn't play well. I've heard the adjustments that they said Reed could have. The only thing Andy Reid could have done outside of outside of purchasing a new offensive line is he could have ran the football. Even if Pacheco wasn't effective, even if he was stoned at the line of scrimmage, if you ran the football more, you would at least take some of that heat off of your pressure,
Right.
off that pressure off of your quarterback. And he opted not to do that, so they became one dimensional. The Eagles had a lead that made it worse, so that all that defensive line was doing for the rest of the game, Will, was hunting.
Yep.
Game was over. Oh wow, I just said something cool. I said Will hunting. I get it. I get
Bars.
it.
Bars. But I just thought that just that front four dropping seven back was amazing. Um, Now I asked this on the sports report. Do you think other teams will try to adopt that strategy against the Chiefs?
I do. I do. I think that they have to be committed. I'm talking about the Chiefs in the future. They've got to address the offensive line. I think they've got to address adding more explosive players too. They've got Worthy. They're going to get Rashi Rice back, and I think that if Kelsey's coming back, I think he's coming back in a lesser role.
Yeah.
This isn't peak Travis Kelsey. They've got to go out and get another tight end. He doesn't have to be as good as Travis Kelsey, but he needs to be a vertical threat. And I think those are a lot of things they have to address. Look, I think if you look at the score, it's misleading in this sense. Not that the Eagles didn't dominate. It's misleading if you're saying the Chiefs defense didn't play well. They actually played well.
Mhm.
They played very well. Their offense set them up for failure, though. Three and out, turnovers. Look, I don't care how good a defense you are. If you're on the field all the time, sooner or later you're going to crack. And they cracked a couple of times, and Jalen Hurts made them pay.
Now, let me ask you this. What does this mean? This loss mean? Because this is his second bad loss in the Super Bowl. What do you think this means for Patrick Mahomes' legacy?
It means he's overrated. No, I'm kidding. I I think that we live in a culture now where we're always infatuated with right now. I think Patrick Mahomes is a great player. I think he's going to go down. Let's lock him in as one of the greatest to ever do it. I think you can lock him in on that now. But
Morning, Gene.
I think it's premature to say he's the goat. Had they won, I still wouldn't have called him the goat. I would have said that you could push him past Joe Montana, but I wouldn't have put him past Brady. I wouldn't. And I think that what you do in a regular season, it does set you up. It gives it brings up your name, right? You establish yourself in a regular season. but where you become legendary, where you become iconic, is what you do in the postseason. And Mahomes has been terrific in the playoffs, but he has struggled in a couple Super Bowls. And no, that's not all on him. But the same way when they lose, it's not all on him. It's not all on him when they win. So I think there's a balancing act, and he shares blame in that because let's keep it a buck. He didn't play well.
No.
He did not play well at all. It I don't think it changed his legacy at all for me. He's great, and I think he still has an opportunity when it's all said and done to be the GOAT. The man's not even 30 years old yet.
True.
And he lives in either the AFC title game or he lives in the Super Bowl, one or the other. Like, he wouldn't know what it's like to have a short playoff run.
No. Now, let me ask you this. Do you put this loss more on Andy Reid?
I put it more on Reid and the OC only because this Chiefs offensive line, it's the same offensive line that got them back to the Super Bowl. So you knew all your weaknesses, you knew all your shortcomings, and you knew Philly's strength. And what I've known about Andy Reid, especially over the last 5-6 years, he's been really good at in-game adjustments. I didn't think he made any adjustments. The only adjustment they made, I take that back. He did make one. They tried to play faster.
Yes.
Which was smart. But here's the thing: knowing that Eagles pass rush, they should have came out playing faster from the jump. They should have came out playing faster and not letting that D-line rest and maybe wearing them down a little bit. And that's a mistake that they can talk about later. But look, Andy Reid is the brain. He's the head of the snake, along with Patrick Mahomes. If you don't set your offense up for success, it is on him. We give him credit for a lot of things. I think he takes the lion's share of the blame. But I don't think he's the only one. Like I said, Mahomes didn't do himself any favors. I thought Kelsey showed his age. Look, nobody feels sorry for the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, except Kansas City.
Right. They're the 2-time defending champs, and they had a chance to do something amazing. It didn't happen. They ran into a team that was a better football team. We came into the game saying Kansas City's only better at one position, and that was quarterback. And Jalen Hurts actually outplayed Patrick Mahomes for the second time.
Let me ask you this. Does this now put Jalen Hurts, for those who didn't believe, because he had a whole lot of doubters, do you think this put Jalen Hurts in the elite conversation?
Man, elite's a tough word. I think Jalen Hurts is – so whatever you think of that group, right? Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, who am I leaving out? There's Josh Allen, of course, the MVP. That core, that little four, that power four, I have no problems with making an argument that he should be right behind them. And it's weird to say right behind them when only Mahomes
has won a Super Bowl.
Right. So it's a weird reluctance, but he's behind them. But like I said this to Gene a couple of days ago, I think what makes Jalen Hurts unique, Will, is that he has an intangible that a lot of guys more talented than him don't have. You know what I mean? It's an instinct. It's a gut thing. I can go into a whole nother deep conversation about the difference between Peyton and Eli Manning, but he has an intangible that a lot of guys don't have. And granted, yes, he plays with a talented team, but a lot of guys have talented teams and they don't win Super Bowls.
True.
I just think he's a winner, and it's weird. It's weird because we had the conversation, Will, about how Eli isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's going to be in the Hall of Fame on the strength of those two amazing Super Bowl runs, right?
Yep.
Well, Jalen Hurts has already been to the Super Bowl twice.
Yep.
And he just won one. He's not 30. He's a Super Bowl MVP. What happens when he wins his second? Like, isn't Jalen Hurts on the path to being a Hall of Famer?
If he gets a second, yeah.
I'm just saying it's weird.
If he can get another one, and he's young enough to do it.
Or what if he doesn't get a second? What if he just goes out and has a career where he makes, I don't know, 7 or 8 more Pro Bowls, and he makes all pro 4 or 5 times, and he's kind of prolific numbers wise, wouldn't he get in on the strength of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think he's in position at a minimum to put himself in the Hall of Fame. And if he continues to win, if he wins more than one, he doesn't just get in. We have to look at him differently.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
In the end, if Burrow never wins one, if Lamar never wins one, we're going to be impressed with their numbers, and we're going to say, well, they're going to go in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But don't we have to be respectful of what he's probably going to do throughout his career?
True. Now let me ask you this too. Now, because of that performance, the 2 Super Bowl losses, when it comes to the GOAT, are we now putting Joe Montana back in the conversation?
I don't think he ever left the conversation. I just thought people were premature and just like they almost didn't talk about him like he didn't exist. It went from when he won his second one, they were like, "Is Mahomes the GOAT?" Like on the second one, people were saying that.
Yeah.
And had he won this one, they were going to try to launch him past Brady. Look, he's lived in the playoffs. So when you look at these quarterbacks, no one's had a greater start to their career than Patrick Mahomes. No one's been, you know what I mean? Like, think about what he's done. Not Montana. No, you name a great quarterback. No one's lived. Even Brady didn't have this kind of start.
No.
He had a great start, but not like this. So look, I don't have a problem with someone making a case or just saying, well, I think Mahomes is greater than Montana. I don't think that's crazy. That's not crazy talk. But I think to be dismissive of Montana, I disagree with that notion. Think about what he's done in the postseason.
That man 4-0. And never threw a pick 6.
Right. Never threw a pick. No turnover. He has no turnovers in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I just think that's a unique thing. But look, Patrick Mahomes is going to surpass Joe Montana.
Oh yeah, he will. Eventually, he will. Yeah,
he will. He's going to. You can book that.
You can book that.
I just thought we were a little premature in announcing that. I have to see, and maybe this might be the adversity that they face, right? After this loss, how do they bounce back? Like, because a lot of us just assume the Chiefs are going to be back, right? They're going to be a contender. They're going to be right there in the mix. But what if they're a contender and right there in the mix for the next 5 years, but they don't get there? Because remember how Brady won multiple Super Bowls, and then he didn't go anywhere for 10 years.
Had a drought.
But that by the way, that makes what Brady did more amazing.
Yeah.
How do you have a drought, then turn around and win multiples after the drought? Like,
yep,
that's unheard of.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is
on another team too.
Yes. Patrick Mahomes is going to win, I think, at least 1 more Super Bowl, if not 2 more Super Bowls. So, and when he gets to 5 in this era and all the things that are going on, I don't know how you don't have that say he might be as good or better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But right now, come on, man, Brady's safe. He good.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm going to go to your 49ers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Getting Trent Williams a free agent?
I think they actually came to some kind of extension agreement. The real question with my 49ers is, what are you going to do with Brock Purdy?
Look, this is me. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm trying to make that happen for that left tackle. I'm trying to make that happen.
Yeah, look, money is king, and I'm with you. Because a lot of people think the Niners will be like a middle of the road team. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I just don't. I don't think they're going to be front runners, though. I think unless Lynch can pull off a move that I don't see, I think they're kind of descending. Some of their core guys are getting older.
Yeah.
Some of the guys they can't pay and they're going to lose. That's just the nature of the beast. But more importantly, once you pay that quarterback, you're hamstrung on what you can do in terms of paying everybody else, right? Once you pay that quarterback, the question is, every quarterback has reset the market when they were up. Dak got $60 million. I don't want to sound disrespectful because I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan, and when you're drafted last, they took a flyer and you said, let's draft this guy. He might He might make the team, maybe become a capable backup, right? No, there's no way John Lynch took him last in the draft and said, this guy's going to be our starting quarterback. But he's been that. He's been terrific in that system. I think he's more than a system quarterback, but at the same time, I think he's less than an elite quarterback. I think he's less than an overcomer. I don't think he's an overcomer. I think he's a great, I don't want to use the term game manager, but within that system, I think he can be special. I don't think you can put Brock Purdy on any team and see huge numbers. I'm going off of what I know about John Lynch. I don't see Brock Purdy getting $60 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
I agree.
Which means maybe we lose him, or maybe they can come to a more realistic middle road. Like somebody said, because I said yesterday to Chris, $40 million a year. And he was like, well, that's Danny Dimes' money. It's Danny Dimes' money because the Giants are stupid. But I think $40 million a year for Brock Purdy is perfectly fine. I'm sure him and his agent will point out, well, Brock's at least as good as Tua, and Tua's getting $53 million.
Yep.
If I'm John Lynch, I'd be like, well, they're about the same. He's just left-handed. But I love Brock Purdy. I'm gonna ask you, Will, you look at Brock Purdy, is he an elite quarterback to you, or is he a good quarterback?
Good quarterback. Right.
Well, I'm not paying a good quarterback $60 million.
No.
There's nothing he and his agent can say to me that makes me pay them $60 million, not $50 million. $40 million, we get that deal done today.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I'm going after Trent, though, for that left tackle, because you saw what they did. They moved Tooney from guard. They moved Tooney from the guard spot.
Right. If you can get an elite left tackle or a very good left tackle, then send Tooney back to his natural position. Your offensive line is basically fixed, especially from Patrick's blind side.
Yep. I really think I'll try to make that deal happen. Let me ask you this about the Eagles. With the way the team look, the way the team is constructed, with the way Howie Roseman makes all those moves, do you think we should be looking at the Eagles as maybe an embarking dynasty?
So I think everything is set up for them to be that. It's so hard to repeat in the Super Bowl. I mean, I know it looks easy because Patrick Mahomes did it. Yeah, I'm not arguing. I think that's what he is.
Yep.
I think that's what he is. But when you say he's that, I think that kind of makes my point. That means that he's good, but he's not irreplaceable.
I tell you what, I really have him at Derek Carr, though. I really have him in the car.
Well,
give me Purdy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's not too many people I would rather have than Derek Carr. But yeah, and dynasties are tough. But I look at the NFC. The Commanders are very good, but I don't think the Commanders could actually take a step back because they won a lot of games last year they shouldn't have won. I think they're on the come up, but they might take a step back. I'm not afraid of Dallas. Detroit. Here's the thing about Detroit: the same way that we judge other quarterbacks, look at everything was set up for Detroit. I know they had struggles with the defense, but Jared Goff killed his team. He killed his team. He killed his defense.
And now you got to replace coordinators on that squad too,
right? Yeah,
so it's going to be. It might look a little bit different. It might look a little bit different.
It's going to test how good a coach, how good a motivator Dan Campbell is. Now, he hired those guys. Can he find two more guys to buy into that culture to where the Lions can still stay at the top of the NFC?
Yep.
Look, you can't predict health, but barring injuries, I think the Eagles are set up to be right back there in the NFC title game. That's barring health because what did they have? They had a great season overall on both sides of the football wheel. But Saquon, who's always had injury history,
yes,
was remarkably durable. And I'm not trying to jinx him, but isn't Saquon similar to Christian McCaffrey?
But what does Charles Barkley say? You might be hurt on this old team, but when you go to your new team, oh, you're gonna be better. You're gonna be ready to go on your new team. And he was primarily healthy.
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that he wasn't the entire offense. Even though he was the focal point, They have two terrific wide receivers. They've got Goddard. Their quarterback is a gifted player. They have a dominant defense. Like on the Giants, Saquon was everything.
Yep.
Even though the guy they overpaid was nowhere near as good as him at his position, Saquon was everything. So I look, as a football fan, I want Saquon to have multiple 1,500 or more yard seasons.
I want multiple championships out of Saquon. That's what I want.
I'm about dynasties, even though I'm a Niners fan. So it's hard to be a dynasty. But do I think, or how about this? What if the Eagles don't win it next year, but they win it the following year? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I still think that matters. In football, if you win 2 out of 3, I think you're somewhat of a dynasty. You're that good. So I think the Eagles right now, I don't care what ESPN says, I've got the Eagles, the team to beat in the NFC.
Now, I love the way the Eagles are set up because they got their wide receivers locked up. They got Saquon locked up. They are just poised to be back in the same position next year. It's the NFC. There's really no one above or close to that level of talent in that conference. So I think to see them go back to the bowl, that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for sure.
I agree. Look at the NFC. How many elite quarterbacks are in the NFC?
Yep.
Because in the AFC, it's a gauntlet of quarterbacks.
There's a bunch of them.
Like, you know what I mean? There's a gauntlet of quarterbacks. It's not the same in the NFC. Like, obviously, we look at Jaden Daniels, and he's terrific, had a terrific rookie season, and you hope he only builds on that.
Yes.
But I really do feel he's going to be better next year, but I don't know that the team will be better. I don't know that. I think a lot of things went their way. We'll see. But tell me the other elite quarterbacks in the NFC. Stafford is definitely a top 10 quarterback, but who else is an elite quarterback?
Yeah.
You know, Dak's not an elite quarterback.
Geno's not elite.
Geno's Geno. And
nowhere near elite.
Right. Caleb Williams could be, but we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know yet.
That's right. Even with Ben Johnson, we don't know.
Yep.
So it's a quarterback-driven league. The Eagles, they've got their guy. They still are dominant on both sides of the line of scrimmage where games are decided. They have a sneaky, gifted a secondary that we don't talk enough about. And I don't think that Jalen Hurts has peaked as a football player.
No.
I still think that there's growth there. There's improvement there. His ability to recognize coverages and defense, I think all those things, and the guy's already a Super Bowl MVP. So, yeah, why would the Eagles not be favored? Why would they not be set up? I'm not afraid of Detroit. They can fix their defense, but you've already lost 2 incredible coordinators.
Oh, yeah.
And until he shows me different, I'm not picking Jared Goff.
Now, real quick, I'm gonna go off scope real quick. It just hit me. Saw the story yesterday. The Jets are gonna part ways with your boy Aaron Rodgers.
My boy.
You know who I feel sorry for in this whole deal? Devontae Adams.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that brother done went from the Raiders, from the Packers, Raiders, Jets, and now you losing the guy you got traded to be paired up with. He's gone. And this quarterback class isn't the best. So what are the Jets gonna do? A bridge guy, maybe?
Yeah, it's interesting that they moved on from Aaron Rodgers, but it's not like they have a plan A. Like anybody you draft, you're not likely to start right away.
Nope.
When you look at the Jets team, they're built to win now. They need a guy that can come in there and give them competent quarterback play,
especially that defense.
Yeah, so it's I get why they're moving on from Aaron Rodgers, but who are you moving to? Who are you moving towards? The market, the guys out there, like, are they going to reach out and try to get Matthew Stafford? Can they? Because I think Matthew Stafford right now is the current version of Matthew Stafford is better than Aaron Rodgers.
Agreed.
We're not talking about career, but right now today, better than Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking Stafford. If I'm the Jets, you should be trying to get with Stafford's people like right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah,
Trust me, Devontae Adams and the rest of that receiving core, they would love Matthew Stafford.
I
So
agree.
that's where I would be looking towards. And the funny thing is, if Stafford moves on, I've heard the rumors about Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. That would be a horrible mistake. But
I can't see that happening.
I I can't see Mike Tomlin wanting that.
No,
I
I can't see that happening.
I feel like if that happens, that would happen with Mike Tomlin saying he doesn't want it to happen. Like there would be a disagreement.
Right.
And maybe that kind of disagreement would be the disagreement where Mike Tomlin would be like, all right, so this is gonna be my last year. You know what I mean? Like if we're to the point where we ignore what I say or how I feel about the situation, maybe I should move on. But I don't see Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers. And here's the thing: putting Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers, which by the way is a much less talented offense than the Jets. And he couldn't win with the Jets. He didn't play well with the Jets.
Nope.
You put Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers, you're going to pretty much get the same production you got from Russell Wilson. They are not talented at the skill positions.
No.
Pickens is a terrific player. He is their number one, but on a really good football team, he's a number two.
Yeah.
Their running backs are just running backs. They're good running backs, but they're not special running backs.
No.
When you do running back by committee, it's because neither one of them are special. That's just a fact. So
I like Jaylen Warren as a third down guy though.
Sure, I think he's really good, especially coming out of the backfield. He's tremendous in space.
Yeah.
But I think Harris is like a good back. I don't think he's a great back. Harris is the kind of guy that in a 17-game season, he might crack 1,000. But the fact that you have to crack 1,000 in a 17-game season is why you're just a guy. You're a jag. They need to go out and get some playmakers. You know what? For the drama of it, go ahead, sign Aaron Rodgers just for the drama of it. Just so Steelers fans can pay.
Oh
pay
my gosh!
Go ahead, pay the price.
You don't went from Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson to your boy Pickens and Pat Freiermuth.
I mean, look, he's not the only one that's made some bad decisions because Devontae Adams left. He wanted to leave the Packers to go join his boy Derek Carr on the Raiders. And you guys can be boys, but you got to know your boy's not that good a quarterback.
Yeah.
Your boy's not that good.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, had he stayed with the Packers, Jordan Love is a better option. Jordan Love's better than Derek Carr.
Yes. Much so, way better. Way better.
Funny thing is, the Packers have really good young receivers, but what they're missing is an actual number one. That would have been
a bunch of number twos over there.
Yeah, that would have been Devontae Adams.
I like Romeo Doubs, though. I ain't gonna see in front. I like Romeo Doubs.
I like him too. I think he's a playmaker. I just don't think he's a one.
Right. And there's a huge difference between a one and a two. Huge difference. I do want to go ahead and move on. Josh, you brought him up earlier. Josh Allen, MVP. Won the MVP over Lamar Jackson. You agree with that or disagree with that?
I would have chose Lamar Jackson, but I'm not up in arms. I think Josh had a terrific season. And if you look at how he managed that offense, because they do have a bunch of young receivers, young running backs, and they're talented, but none of them were established, right?
Right.
So you have to give him credit for doing what he did with that group, with that receiving group, with the running backs, the whole nine. And he played more of a controlled game. This was a Josh Allen that didn't turn the football over. He just made better choices. So I think Josh had a career year. The only pushback I would have on Josh winning is it was a career year for Josh, but it wasn't a better year than Lamar's. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have a better year than Lamar Jackson. And the MVP is in fact a regular season award.
It is.
And the same way Peyton Manning, I think he's won 4 of them or 5. I think he's won 4. You can't deny, unless you're going to give it to Saquon, it should have went to Lamar Jackson.
I would have given it to Saquon. I would have bucked tradition and just went with Saquon.
I would have went with Saquon too because, like I said the other day, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns or whatever in today's NFL, it's not uncommon. Running for 2,000 yards, it's very uncommon.
Definitely nothing to sneeze at. That is for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, I do want to switch over to the association for just a moment. Looks like that Mark Williams trade ended up being rescinded because he felt a physical for the Lakers. So what do the Lakers go out and do? They signed Alex Lynn to a contract.
Yep.
You liking that move or no?
Oh, I was popping champagne last night. I was like, we get the parade ready, get the route ready, book it. We're going to the first round. It was what am I supposed to say, man? I've seen Alex Lynn play. You've seen Alex Lynn play. He's look, no diss. If you're good enough to be in the professional basketball, you're one of the best 400 players, and you know what I mean. Like you obviously are good enough to do that,
Right.
By any metrics, if you know where he was drafted at in the career that he's had, he's been a career disappointment. So why would I get excited over it? I think the Lakers had to go out and get somebody that could at least give them some minutes that
Yes.
that could be. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to be solid. I think he can be solid. The Lakers were 16th. They're ranked 16th in defense. They're a middle of the road defense at best. That was with Anthony Davis. He's gone. I actually think they're going to get, not because of Alex Lynn specifically. They were going to get worse anyway, losing Anthony Davis and adding Luka. Like you can give me 10 great things about Luka. Nothing on defense has anything to do with that.
Nope.
So the Lakers were going to be a poor defensive team anyway. The only way they can go on a deep playoff run now is their perimeter defenders can get timely stops.
Right.
The problem with that is I don't think they have any perimeter defenders that can do that. They have specialists, like Vanderbilt's a good defender. But if you put Vanderbilt on the floor, he's also a liability on offense. Like all their best defenders can't shoot.
Yep.
All their best defenders can't create their own shot. So I think they're going to have to mix and match. That they're going to have to win or go on a run wheel on the strength of their offense, right? That's how they're going to overwhelm you on the strength of their offense. It won't be their defense. It certainly won't be because of Alex Lynn. So, I take things like this. Going forward, we got Luka Doncic. That's how I look at it. We got Luka.
Yep.
And Luka, the Luka move, yes, that we're talking about what's going to happen with Luka right now. But the Luka move for the Lakers is everything after this season. Everything after this season. So whatever they do, be it make the first round, make the second round, I'm not going to trip. I don't think they're a championship team. I don't. I think when you have a Luka and you have a LeBron, you have a puncher's chance to go on a great run if you get the right matchups. But if you get the wrong matchup, like for instance, should they match up with Denver? Season's over.
You ain't getting my shot against that.
Some people say if they match up against the Grizzlies, season's over, but I don't believe that. I don't think Memphis. I think Memphis is very deep, but I don't think Memphis can beat the Lakers. I don't think Memphis has enough shooting to beat the Lakers. So, but Denver will be a bad matchup for them. If we were to fall back to 8th or something like that, if we had to match up against OKC in the first round, that actually might be a good series.
That'd be a good series.
Because I'm not really sold on OKC in a 7-game series where it's more physical, where it's more of a grind.
Right.
Everything will just work with me on this. Everything is set up to where it says OKC is going to the finals, right?
Right.
SGA is having a career year, an MVP year. They just got Chet back. They got Hartenstein. They've got 2 bigs that they can actually start together. Yep. They have elite perimeter defenders in Lou Dort and Alex Caruso. SGA, he's tremendous. J-Dub is the second option. Like, I could go down the list. Isaiah Joe's 3-point shooter, Wiggins, Kaysen. They're loaded. They're loaded. And yet, my gut feeling is they're not going to the finals.
Dang, bro. Dang.
No, I'm just putting it out there. This isn't me being I'm going off my eye test. My gut feeling is all the things that they are,
Mhm.
that the talent that they have, and the best GM in the NBA, who, by the way, OKC also has a buttload of picks, right?
They do.
They're
Still
set,
do.
they're set up to do any kind of move they want to do. They even have cap space, and yet I don't think they're going to the finals.
Mm, that's strong.
I don't think they're going to the finals. That's not me. Look, I'm a Laker fan. Of course, I want my team to go. I don't think we're going to the finals, but I don't think they're going to the finals either. I just think they're going to come up short. It's a gut check. My gut instinct tells me that they're terrific in the regular season, but I saw them last year in the playoffs, and I saw them how Luka was able to, not just Luka and Kyrie and company, Gafford and Lively. They just worked them. And
Yeah.
I think teams that come at them, that work them. I'll give you an example. Houston doesn't have enough shooting. We would both agree they don't have
Mhm.
consistent shooting, but they have the athletes that would make for a horrible matchup for OKC. They would
Yep, they
work.
do. They do.
They would work them. They would out physical them. They
They can
wouldn't.
outrun them.
And as good as Chet and Hartenstein is, I think Şengün would give them some problems in the post. Like I the West is so undecided in that matchups are going to determine which teams go on deep runs. The East, the picture in the East to me is a lot more clear.
Yeah. Pretty much Boston, Cleveland, and everybody else. I did want to ask you. I did want to touch on this, and this is probably one of the worst big threes I have ever seen. But Ben Simmons has signed with the LA Clippers. And everybody calls it a big three. Big three of what? Kyrie's never there. Ben's gonna be Ben. And James Harden is like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He's still not committed 100% to his fitness. I don't see how this is a big three, or I don't see this big three working.
Yeah, look, they don't have a big three. They don't even have a big two. They just have what they have is they have some veterans who potentially could go on a deep playoff run, or they could be exited out in the first round.
Right.
First of all, Ben Simmons is not part of a big three. Let's establish what he is now. He's a role player now. He's not part of it. If you were going to call them a big three, you would say Harden, Kawhi, and Norman Powell would be a big three.
Norman is playing well.
He's their leading scorer. I think he's averaging around 24, 25 points a game.
Playing well.
Yeah, amazing shooting splits. The problem with the Clippers, I think, in the big picture is they're old. It's an old team. It is an old. You could say, well, they've got veteran. They're old. They're an old team, and adding Ben Simmons. This is what I said this years ago. You give me. I was never a huge Simmons fan, but when you tell me that a guy averages 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, that makes him kind of special. And he was an elite defender.
Yep.
Well, he's not that anymore, but in a role, if you played, let's say he plays 25 minutes a game, and Ben Simmons can give you, let's just say 8s across the board, 8, 8, and 8, and play high level defense, that would make him a tremendous role player. So the real question with Ben Simmons is, I'm not going to get into what his body is or isn't. Where's his mental at?
Right.
Because a bigger part of his downfall is his mental.
Yeah.
Ben had fake confidence. He had fake confidence. Like he was super arrogant coming out of LSU. Everything went well initially with the Sixers. He everything went so well, Will, that he never worked on his game. That's how arrogant he was. Like he never worked on his game. They would always show these highlights of Ben Simmons shooting jump shots in the offseason.
Man, he made me sick at those Rico Hine runs. He made me sick. He was out there shooting threes, all confident and everything.
Right.
Running the floor, looking all good. But when you get him in the NBA game,
different player.
Different player all the way around.
Right. Put Ben Simmons in a real game with refs, with fans, and he's not taking any jump shots.
No.
That was at the height of his powers. His story is so compelling that I actually find myself rooting for Ben Simmons to be just a very good role player. I'm rooting.
He can at least do that.
Right. I'm rooting for the young man to at least find an NBA role for him, play well in it, and kind of recapture his career to some degree.
Right.
What if the Ben Simmons story becomes Ben Simmons becomes a role player, maybe not with the Clippers, but somewhere down the line where he's a role player on a championship team,
Mm.
a la Sean Livingston. You know what I mean? Where
Ooh.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
their skill sets are different, but I'm just saying, what
Right.
if he could do that?
He'll be straight.
Like I said, I think everything hinges, Will, on his mental. Where is his head at?
Now I got to talk to you about Gene's favorite team, the 76ers. They took a loss last night.
That's not new.
Joel Embiid, yeah, exactly. Joel Embiid passes up on an open three, and I got to get on Joel. I got to, because you ever talking about some, I'm not playing in back-to-backs. No, I'm not playing in back-to-backs. And then you go out there and you stink up the Jordan. I think it was 8 for 19, if memory serves, when I looked at the stats. 27 points. You got Mr. Paul George out there for 14. Man, there was a stat that came out early last week. Paul George got more podcast clips uploaded than field goals made. I think the number was 229 to 118. 228. Yep. 228 to 197. Numbers might be a little bit skewed because it was last week. Is he, to me, he's more podcasting player.
Well, you'll get no argument from me. Like, when they made the Paul George move, what I said was, you overpaid Paul George, which it's totally fine if you overpay Paul George and it results in you winning one title.
Yes.
If you win one title, overpaying anybody, in my opinion, is worth it if you can win the title. But if it falls the other way, where he looks like an old Paul George and it doesn't work out, you're not going to be able to trade that contract. You stuck with that. Like I've been saying they should move Embiid for the longest because it's not going to age well. And more importantly, don't confuse talent and what you actually are on the like. He's as talented a big man, as skilled a big man as we'll ever see.
Agreed.
But he's not one of the best big men we'll ever see, if that makes any sense to you. Like,
it does.
There's other things that go with being a great player, the intangibles, the work ethic, the leadership. He's none of those things.
Listen, and to be Paul George has not been Paul George since OKC. Because we haven't seen Indiana Paul George in forever. We haven't seen OKC Paul George in forever. We haven't seen Clipper Paul George in forever. I don't know who this guy is. And Embiid, you're a 7-footer who says he's got to go have another surgery during the offseason.
That was crazy. When I saw that, when he said that to Lisa Salters, as soon as he said that, I was screaming at the TV like, trade this dude.
Yeah.
Trade this dude.
Yeah.
Not only did he say he had to have another surgery, he said recovery was going to be lengthy. What? Are you crazy? Look, Daryl Morey, if you don't trade Joe, it should be fired. He should be fired. Matter of fact, if I'm the owner of the Sixers, I'm overriding Daryl Morey. We're trading him.
Trading him. Oh, yeah. And we all know, and Gina said, he's an honest sports fan. He'll come in here and tell you the process is definitely over. It's definitely over. Yeah. You got Tyrell Maxey out here even getting whiff of your sorriness with 4 points last night. Come on, man.
And, I got to jab Gene a little bit. Gene, I'm still waiting on that 10-game winning streak. I'm still waiting on that 10-game winning streak. Now maybe it'll happen, but my guess is if it happens, it's gonna happen when there's like 10 games left in the season and everybody else is just trying not to get hurt. Then they'll have a 10-game winning streak. Where your Sixers are a lottery team. I'm wondering, do they have any lottery picks though? But they're a lottery team. Matter of fact, they're about to start the process all over again.
They'll reset the process. Let me ask you this: did the 76ers waste Prime Embiid?
I don't know if they wasted him. He wasted Prime Embiid. He wasted Prime Embiid. Like, they can't control that he's 200 and 75, 80 pounds of brittle.
Nah, he over 3.
Well, whatever he is, they can't control that he's brittle. They certainly can't control the fact that he's got a small heart. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
what's in your chest is what's in your chest. He got a big man with a tiny heart. They can't control that.
Right.
Like I said, if you go on skill and talent, he might be the greatest in the history of basketball. But when you go on what you actually see on the floor and what he could be and should, I think he's an underachiever.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wasted him. I think they kept trying to pair him with talent. He's been around talent.
Yep.
He's had plenty of talent around him. He, as the franchise player, has come up short in the postseason. He hasn't led. Like, I see him drop 40, 45 and have 18 rebounds and all.
Mm-hmm.
But when does he do that when it matters most? He doesn't do that when it matters most. It's
True
just
that.
who he is. You can't make somebody have a heart of a lion. You're either a lion or you're not. He's not a lion. He's a lamb. And a lamb, if your leader's a lamb, you're not going to win anything. Period. That's who he is.
I just think it's amazing because earlier in his career, because to me, other than the MVP season, and I will give him the MVP season, but other than that, you saw him eating burgers, you saw him eating fries, not showing any type of dedication to the game that you think a pro athlete would. And now he done brought up to 300 pounds. The bigger you are, the more apt to injury. And once you get injured, your road to recovery is gonna be lengthy. And young injured players turn out to be old injured players.
Agreed.
And I agree with you. They need to trade this man now. I don't know what you can get for him, but I will trade him now.
Oh, I think you still can get a pretty good haul because he's not. I mean, what is he? Is he 29 or 30? Like
he's like 20, 29.
Right. So if you're one of those teams that believe like if we add and B, like I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying they would do it.
Right.
But if Detroit said, what do you say? All right, focus. But
focus.
But if Detroit thought like, hey, we can pair Joel Embiid with Cade Cunningham, and we can
work,
and we could get the best out of him for 2 or 3 years.
That'll work.
We can make a run. That's all I'm saying. And then if you're Daryl Morey, you want picks and some young, and they have tons of young talent, right?
Yes, they do.
That's all I'm saying, because you should be building around Tyrese Maxey.
Yes. Now don't get me started with the Pistons stuff. They just destroyed my Bulls last night. I mean, I was working when that game started, and I looked at the score at halftime. Good Lord. I know the Bulls aren't very good and we're rebuilding. But come on, man. Big Vu had like 8-9 points last night. Kobe Bryant had like 4 or 5. Oh, come on, y'all. Y'all still supposed to be a pro basketball team. You got no pride to go out there and get your butt kicked by the Pistons.
I thought they just quit.
Yeah.
Just quit. I like to tell you I know what direction your team is going in. I just don't know.
Don't know. Still got Patrick Williams. Get rid of that dude. We'll get you a couple back. You can get your couple back to chip for him.
All right. Whoever drafted Patrick Williams, they should be fired.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm not saying Patrick Williams is not an NBA player, but he's an NBA player like where you could go, he's pretty good. But you could have drafted pretty good late in the first round or early second round.
Yeah. Let me get that genius comment real quick. The roster is solid, but NBA is shot. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. They have 3 different offenses. One with Embiid, one with Paul George and Maxey, and one with just Maxey and players like Oubre and Yobo. I'm taking them one with Maxey.
Yeah, I am too.
I ain't got no faith in Embiid or Paul George. He just needs to go back to the studio, but just do his next podcast.
You can trade Embiid.
Yeah.
I think you're stuck with Paul George.
You stuck with him in that bad contract.
Yeah, you're married to that. I mean, I guess you could buy him out, but I would build around Tyrese Maxey. I think that every year I watch him play, he gets better. He ascends. You get him a running mate. I don't care if it's another wing player or big, and I think Tyrese Maxey is the way to go if you're the Sixers. And Joel Embiid to me is part of your past. You gotta move on. I'm so certain I'm so certain they should trade him that I would literally shut him down. Right, the guy told you he's gonna have another surgery. I'm shutting you down right now. I want you healthy coming into training camp next season. As soon as I know the doc say, "Oh, he's good to go," trade.
And that was even stupid for you to say publicly. Publicly, that was stupid.
You know, Daryl Morey threw something at the window when he heard him say that.
Yo. Now, I did want to get with you on the debut of Luka and LeBron together. I know they played staggered minutes, but what did you think about that?
It looked how I thought it would look. There were a couple of times where you're like, "Oh, they're gonna have some fun," because both have great court vision.
Yes.
Both can create for others. They can generate different kind of mismatches. And then it looked a little funky at times, but you wouldn't have noticed it because they were playing the Jazz,
right.
And so if you're ever gonna have a debut against a team that's won 12 games. So there's no threat for you to lose,
right,
or look bad. So it was interesting that the Lakers had 72 points at halftime. Let me keep it 100. I mean, this is how honest I am to everybody out there listening. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Love my Lakers. When halftime struck, I started watching something on Netflix. I'd moved on. The game had been
Orange is the New Black, huh?
Yeah, I had moved on. I was actually watching this new anime that I'm getting into, but I'd moved on. But I think that I'm going to look at the LeBron-Luka experiment as a day-to-day situation and judge it on. I can't wait to see them play some of the top teams in the West
together.
Together. Yep. Then I can have a better idea, because that's when they get challenged, when somebody tries to hunt Luka, right? When somebody tries to, because normally, here's what the Lakers do. When they play really good teams, normally LeBron guards the worst scorer or the guy that doesn't score. Well, he can't do that because they need Luka to do that, right? So then LeBron's going to have to expand more energy on defense. So it's going to be interesting how it looks. I give them a puncher's chance, like I said, because you're talking about two elite perimeter players with incredible basketball minds that if they can get on one, I think that if they can get on one, they could go on a deep playoff run. But I do think ultimately, if they can't get stops, if they get killed on the boards, that it wouldn't shock me. It would not blow my mind if they lost in the first round. I think that their peak this season should be second round. That's what I think. But defense and conditioning is going to play so much a part of how this works. Not to mention, again, they play Utah. What are they going to look like when they play Cleveland?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, which is a real threat that plays at a certain pace. That's going to be more of a challenge to them. So, it's gonna be kind of funky. The Mark Williams thing is really tough because potentially what he could have been as a rim protector and a lob threat would have been amazing. He's 22, 23 years old. He could have been with Luka for the next 10 years.
Right.
But that man's got like 53 things wrong with his body. Like they were the Hornets were talking about, they were like the Hornets were like his back is okay. You know what I mean? His back is okay. And they emphasized that his back was okay. Guess what? His back was okay, but everything else was wrong. Everything else you can imagine being wrong with a body was wrong with his body.
Okay. Before we end the show, we've got about 6 minutes left. Coffee Sports in the Morning right here on Wire to Wire Sports. Definitely join us tomorrow. Be me and Mo back in the chairs again doing our thing. I did want to finish up with the show with the other side of that Anthony Davis and Luka trade. Anthony Davis is out indefinitely. Is it already over for the Mavs?
I don't want to say it's over because there are a couple of teams in the West that I think are descending. But the Mavs are 28 and 26 at the 8th spot. And I think there's 3 teams underneath them that are going to walk them down during this period. Like remember now, Davis is gone for a month. Derek Lively's gone for at least that long, if not longer. And Gabbert just went down. They went from having 3 bigs and talking about all the potential you could do with all 3 bigs to no bigs. They're gone.
Yep.
They're gone. And what you're left with Kyrie as a primary, and only Kyrie can consistently create his own shot off the dribble. I'm not.
Clay can't do it no more.
Right. And Spencer Dinwiddie is in and out in terms of when he can do it and when he can't do it.
He ain't consistent.
It would shock me if the Mavericks, when by the time AD comes back, aren't 4 or 5 games under 500.
All right, Mo. Appreciate you being here with me this morning. Appreciate everybody out in TV land joining us here on Coffee Sports in the Morning, right here on Wire to Wire Sports. 4 minutes left. Mo, take us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Thank you again for being here with us. We do appreciate you being here at Wire to Wire Sports. We'll be back tomorrow, same network time, same network station. From Mo and myself, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.